5 Mysterious Unsolved Cases, Part 4. On June 4, 2010, 7-year-old Kyron Horman did not return home from his school in Portland, Oregon. The last documented photograph of him shows him smiling happily at a school fair. Within an hour of this photograph being taken, he disappeared and has not been seen since. On the day of his disappearance, he was taken to school by his stepmother, Terry Horman. She stayed with him at the fair, then claims that she watched him walk down the hall to his first class of the day. Kyron, however, was not seen by his teachers and was marked absent for the day. He seemingly disappeared on his walk along the hall. Terry Horman apparently then went about her normal routine before posting pictures on Facebook at around 1 p.m. on the same day. These pictures showed Kyron at the school fair. When Terry and Kyron's father, Kane, walked to the bus stop to meet Kyron after school, he was not on the bus. The bus driver reported that Kyron had not boarded the bus, and his teachers claimed that he had been marked absent for the full day. Suspicion was of course aimed at Terry, though nothing could be proven. The family gardener later told police that Terry had offered him a lot of money to murder her husband. This speculation could not be confirmed, but the couple were later divorced, and Kane took out a restraining order on his ex-wife. Kyron's biological mother, Desiree Young, attempted to file a lawsuit against Terry in her belief that Terry was responsible for the disappearance of her son. This lawsuit was later dropped. Kyron's family continued to search for him and have set up a website in his honor. It lists many of his favorite foods, movies, hobbies, and more. Since his disappearance, Kane has built a wall of hope for his son, a public place where people are able to pray for his safety. Terry, who initially failed a polygraph test after the disappearance of Kyron, believes that the boy was kidnapped from school. In televised interviews, she denies any responsibility. The case remains unsolved. On March 31, 2006, 27-year-old Ohio State medical student Brian Schaefer was drinking at a bar with friends from whom he later became separated. He was seen on CCTV at around 2 a.m. talking to 2 girls outside of the same bar before re-entering the building. This is the last recorded footage of him. What makes this case particularly strange is that there was only one public entrance to this bar, the very same one at which he had earlier been recorded on CCTV. These cameras do not show him leaving the building at any other point, and investigators are unable to determine if and how he ever left the bar. All other exits seem unlikely and inexplicable means of leaving the building. All people who met with Brian that evening were asked to take a polygraph test. Meredith Reed, a friend, and Brian's father both passed their tests, as did other people. Strangely, Brian's friend William Florence, with whom Brian was drinking that night, refused to take a test. None of these tests could lead detectives to any conclusions. One theory is that Brian may have entered the bar and changed clothes in order to disguise himself from cameras. At the time, he had been grieving for his mother, who had died the previous month. Some speculate that he wanted to escape in order to cope with the grieving process. Since he has yet to return, this seems somewhat unlikely. Other theorists claim that he was perhaps killed inside of the bar or murdered by the infamous smiley face killer, while some propose that he may have left via a staff-only exit and met his demise on the way home. Another more unusual theory is that he left out the staff-only exit, then decided to play around on the construction site to the rear of the building. Proponents of this theory claim that during this messing around he may have died, only for his death to be covered up by construction workers. All of these theories, however, seem strange at worst and speculative at best. The case continues. On March 22, 2011, British Disney cruise ship worker Rebecca Coriam was recorded on CCTV in the crew lounge of the ship on which she was working as a youth counselor. She was employed on the ship after having passed a rigorous interview process in which hundreds of others were also competing for the job. The footage from the cruise ship shows her at around 5:45 a.m., talking on one of the ship's internal telephones, visibly distressed and disturbed by the conversation. During the phone call, a male crew member approached Rebecca and asked if she was okay. Rebecca responded with, "Yeah, fine," before hanging up and walking away. This is the last time she was seen alive. The alarm was raised once Rebecca didn't turn up for her shift at 9 a.m. the same day. A thorough search of the cruise ship, Disney Wonder, was carried out, but the 24-year-old could not be located. Disney claims that the CCTV footage was taken from Deck 5 and believe that she was thrown overboard after a freak wave. However, the footage states that it was actually taken from Deck 1, which may suggest that she was heading to the nearby medical center. In the footage, Rebecca inexplicably appears to be wearing men's clothing. It is not known who she was talking to on the phone, though some suggest that she was involved in more than one difficult romantic relationship. Many people theorize that she may still be alive. A few weeks after her disappearance, Rebecca's mother received an email to say that there had been suspicious activity on Rebecca's bank account, while Rebecca's uncle claims that the password to her Facebook account was changed. Around a year after her disappearance, a woman contacted Rebecca's family, claiming that she was 85% sure that she had seen the missing woman walking with a dark-haired man in Venice. In October 2011, journalist John Ronson journeyed on the ship from which Rebecca disappeared and spoke to several of her colleagues. All of these colleagues claim that Rebecca fell overboard, and many suggested and implied that the footage does indeed exist of her falling from the ship. One colleague said that everyone knows that this is the truth, while another claimed Disney knows exactly what happened. Everything here is taped. There's CCTV everywhere. Disney has the tape. On the day after her disappearance, Disney had placed flowers at one of the points at which she may have fallen overboard, further fueling this theory. Strangely, after her disappearance, Disney gave Rebecca's parents a pair of flip-flops which they claimed belonged to her. These flip-flops, however, were inscribed with the wrong name and the wrong cabin number. Other theorists claim that Rebecca may have committed suicide, though her family strongly disputes this. Investigators have not yet reached a fulfilling conclusion. On October 10, 2014, 37-year-old Rico Harris, a former Harlem Globetrotter, mysteriously went missing. Rico had decided that he wanted to start a new life with his fiancée Jennifer in Seattle. The previous day, he visited his family in Alhambra, California to pick up some of his belongings and to say goodbye before finalizing the move. He had been searching for work in the Seattle area and managed to get a job interview which was scheduled for the next day. Just after midnight, he left his mother's home and began the 1,000-mile road trip. Rico spoke to Jennifer on the phone throughout the night and mentioned that he was feeling tired. At around 8 a.m., his mother called and he explained that he was planning on stopping briefly in Sacramento for food and a nap. Around the same time, his fiancée tried calling him, but there was no answer. She decided not to continue calling as she knew he was tired. At 10:44 a.m., Jennifer received a text from Rico which said, "Sorry I missed your call. I'm doing well, thinking about you." This was the last time anyone heard from him. 2 days later, his car was found in an isolated rest area by a Yolo County deputy sheriff. Its battery was dead and it had run out of gas. Inside the car were various papers, CDs, and credit cards, all of which were scattered around. Although he stood at 206 centimeters and weighed 300 pounds, there was no confirmed sightings of him in the area, and investigations did not discover either him or his body. Many sightings were alleged, but none could be validated. One of these sightings reported seeing him at a barrier near the roadside. Investigators were able to find his backpack, which was found about 1,500 feet from the location at which he was believed to make his final call. Inside the backpack was Rico's cell phone and jumper cables. Strangely, officers found a number of photographs on his phone, including a selfie of Harris standing in front of a Yolo County road sign. The cell phone also included some videos, which were seemingly taken unintentionally. Eerily, these videos showed Harris tearing papers, singing along to music, and tossing CDs around his car. These videos were taken on the evening of October 10th, the night on which he disappeared. Rico had a history of alcohol and drug abuse, so some speculate that he may have taken a combination of drugs before wandering into the woods and getting lost. Investigators also have reason to believe that he may have returned to the site a week after he went missing. Rico, or his body, has still not been found. In the early hours of September 24, 2016, 23-year-old British Royal Air Force Regiment gunner Corey McKeague went missing during a night out drinking with friends in Bury St. Edmunds, England. He was asked to leave a bar by a doorman who claimed he was too drunk. He was then spotted in a fast food restaurant before CCTV later caught him wandering on the street at 3:25 a.m. More CCTV footage seems to suggest that he spent some time sleeping in a doorway during these hours. These pieces of CCTV footage are his last known sightings. Investigators discovered that, on the morning of his disappearance, McKeague's phone moved 12 miles in 28 minutes, which heavily implies that he, or his phone, were at some point in a vehicle. One major theory speculates that his body was placed into a garbage truck before then being dumped at a landfill site. McKeague's phone received signal at this landfill site 90 minutes after he was last seen on CCTV. However, there are conflicting reports about the weight of the cargo inside of the truck, so this theory can neither be confirmed nor denied. Police are still investigating this landfill site in an attempt to find his body. Later in the investigation, the back of a phone was found at the area at which McKeague was last thought to be detected, though it could not be confirmed whether or not this phone belonged to him. Some investigators have claimed that the area in which McKeague disappeared from was so densely covered with CCTV that it would be impossible to leave on foot undetected, almost confirming speculation that he entered, or was forcibly placed into, a vehicle in order to leave the area. Earlier in the year, a British Air Force member was the victim of a kidnapping attempt, and some have drawn parallels between the cases. The investigations continue.